a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Good evening, travelers and those alike. Welcome to the Orion Effect right here on the R.I.F.T Nation Network. We appreciate you being here tonight. I am flying solo. Yeah, so I'll be trying to get to your comments as much as I can. But Rhonda Harris is on special assignment this weekend. So, yeah, you get me, myself, and I all the way through. How is everybody doing tonight? I want to say hello to all of you. Hello to Michelle, to Renee, and thank you so much, Renee. I appreciate everything you do. Keith Ottersberg, hello. Monica, hello. Michelle, hello. Everybody that's tuning in right now, thank you so very much. We truly appreciate it. This is going to be a really great show. Really great show. Something that, I haven't done in a long time, and flying solo. Of course, this show is progressing. We're taking a little bit of the old show and brought it to the new show. So really looking forward to how this goes. Finally caught you on Sunday. Well, we're glad you're here, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you very much. We want to get jump started on real quick. I want everybody just to take a moment, take a deep breath, and let it go. Just relax for the next hour. It's going to be a great show. And there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of changes going on. There is the solar storms. There's new storms out in the ocean that's taking place. People are getting worried. There's a lot of good things. Also, remember anxiety. Kind of do what you can to let it flow. Be that bamboo. Kind of flex with it. It's going to be for the best for you. Don't allow things to get to you. Try to just relax, let things flow and go as they're supposed to go. That's what the universe wants. So I wanted to start out with that with the hit list. The thank you to those who were on last week's show. Oh, what a great show that was with, that's right, Melissa Pion Soma. What a great show. Next Sunday, we have Shadows Abound, Chris and Greg. So looking forward to that as well. So these are the shout outs and the hit list coming from the hitman himself. Chris Garcia, Mary Eknar, Laura Potovin, Chris Timmons, Linda Nelson, Heidi Gore, uh, Marie Anafray, and if I slaughter your name, please accept my apology. Um, Katie K, Joe Sfar, Kim Keshery, Jack Hugh Hendricks, Rebecca Owens, Michelle Wongford, Raven Frigg, Edward Regosto, Robert White, our friend down in Down Under. Yeah, we got a world audience. I love that now. Um, Cheryl Zakado, Michelle, thank you. She's here right now. She caught us. Sean and Courtney Elliott, Robert Odell, and Adrian Clayton. I saw Adrian was here. Adrian, hello, love. And special thanks going out to those who make this show possible. Going out to GOS, Ghost of Stanton, Virginia. If you haven't gotten your ticket, oh my goodness, do we have something special for you on the 20th too? Check out 30 minutes prior to the show. We are going to do something very unique. I see you, girlfriend. We are going to go live for 30 minutes in Stanton. You get to see the fireside stories for 30 minutes leading into the show. Something that I wanted to get with Marty and the gang and do something special for you guys to see why I want you to come down to GOS, Ghost of Stanton, Virginia, and see what it's about. Also going out to Booze Paranormal Equipment, the right price for the right equipment for the right person. Check them out. They're back in flow. He's back on track, so everything's good. Check him out. Also to SNS Crystals and Crafts. Thank you so much for your support, you guys. Now we're going to do some mad shout outs right now. Mad shout out to URPN. That's right. Our good friends over there with so many shows. Joe Montano and all of them have made one heck of a network. It's probably one of the oldest networks around, so check them out. Also to Epic VIP events, thank y'all for tuning in. To those special groups, Horror Histories and Haunts, Paranormal University, Everything Paranormal, Fox Paranormal, Podcast Promotions, Radio, Internet, and Advertising and more. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Absolutely. And hello, Kristen Coleman. Hello. Thank you for being a part of the show and being here, Kristen. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. It's party time. That's right. It's party time, folks. That's right. And that means usually when it's party time, we're waiting for something to happen. We're not sure what it is, but it will happen. No problem. Well, thank you. So we have a very special uh, host event tonight. Not as just a host, but as a double host. This man spends his evenings with you on YouTube. I met him a while back. I was on his show. What a magnificent show, and had such a good time with him. I was like, dude, you've got to come hang out with me on the Orion Effect. Meet my people, because I want my people to know who you are. So, with that being said, it is almost a strategic, ooh, that's a good word to use, strategic honor to be able to introduce you to a man, a myth. It's happening already. He's almost here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I have the pristine honor of introducing you to Mr. Rob G. He's in the house. What is up, brother man?
How you doing there, man? How you doing? Great to be here.
Oh, they tried to go a double on you, Holmes.
Love it. I love it. I love the energy. I love the feeling. Awesome.
Well, I truly appreciate you taking the time and come hang out with me tonight. We had
Yeah.
such a good time the last time we talked that I was like, dude, I've totally got to have you on my show tonight. So this was a perfect time. We're in October. Man, what the best time to do that. I'm going to bring us in a little closer there. That's right. Hello, 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 everybody. So, brother, how have you been? How are you? What's going on with you over there at where are you at? Where are you at?
Spaced Out Radio. The
Bam!
only place where you can own the night.
Woo!
I love it. I love it. And totally it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. We like you said earlier to your audience, we had a great time over there at Spaced Out Radio after hours. Great conversation. And plan to have the same thing here tonight.
Oh yeah,
Excited to be here.
a high energy, high output, and I've been left alone. They should never leave me alone, Rob. Never leave me alone.
Yeah, I heard there was a lady named Rhonda that I was supposed to be meeting. So I guess we'll catch up next time.
That's right. She's on special assignment. She took a nice little trip up north, did a couple of hit spots, and they're on their way back now. So Godspeed to our Rhonda. You
Yeah,
and Kim make it home safe. Kim Sage, medium Kim Sage. Y'all be careful. Just seriously be careful.
definitely.
But again, what's been going on, man? We talked about you got. I love the new background.
Appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. It had to create the feeling. We do a radio show over there at Spaced Out Radio. My show I host on the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Pacific. And yeah, just had to have the whole, it's I had to dress the part essentially is what I did here. So
I like
if
that.
you remember last time we did the interview, I hadn't had all this set up yet. So
It's looking fly.
appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, how's the show been going?
Show's been going pretty good. If anyone has not ever seen one of these shows, we bring people in, experiencers, sometimes researchers of anything to do with the phenomena. And on the after hours, Dave Scott, who's the conductor of the Wu Train over there, he's the head honcho.
Right,
He
right.
runs Monday through Friday. He runs the weekday show, and then I run the weekend show, which is called After Hours. On my show, we try to have specifically, and I don't want to speak for him and what he does on during the week, but I know for me, I like to have these conversations that get us closer to answers, and it's my theme is conversations that move the needle, and I think those are very important in the field that we're in,
Especially right now, brother. Especially right now.
and having the platforms that we have, we should be having those sort of conversations.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go into the meat of things. You ready?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Who is Rob G, man? Who is Rob G?
Rob G. Okay, so I have to tell you. So, you know, I I would like to be able to tell a story of being like a lifelong experiencer of the phenomena and all these different encounter. Well, I will tell you that I'm fairly new to the subject itself, as far as being deep in it.
Yeah,
My first encounter or sighting was a little over 2 years ago now, but I've had a list of things happen since that very first event that just blow my mind, and I'd say 90% of it I've caught on film, so I have like receipts to kind of show people to back things up.
I love that. I love that. The receipts. I love
Yeah.
that word too. The what you're using there. So you find that on your first experience? Don't worry, folks. We're going to get into podcasting. Did you find with your first experience that maybe that's what's led you into having it over and over again? Did you find that maybe you open yourself up more to the idea? Is that what it was?
I think that's kind of what happened, and I'll tell you how it all started. I was a co-host on a show called Why the Big Secret with Roderick Martin, and we were interviewing a reptilian channeler at the time, and you
Oh,
know, he was telling a story, essentially of how he was the only one that could contact these reptilians, and everything had to go through him. And I guess he felt that maybe I didn't fully buy into what he was saying, and so he said to me on the show, "Would you be open to meeting one of these beings?" And
oh,
I said, "Yeah, of course.
sure. Why not? Bring them on.
Why not? Yeah, bring them on. This is what this is all about. Yeah, let's do this."
Yeah.
And thinking, okay, maybe I talked to him at a later time and he kind of set something up, channeling or something along those lines. But 6 days later, and I don't know if those two incidents are related, but I had my very first UFO sighting, which was an over the top UFO sighting at that. And I tell the story that way because I can't pinpoint that what he said was the reason why I saw what I saw, but it's pretty peculiar that it happened within 6 days.
Right? It's almost like the numbers are there. The number was there. It was kind of like set the universe. Things just don't happen for no reason. They happen for a reason. I was going to talk a little bit longer about that earlier before I brought you on, but I was like, dude, I want you on. I'm not going to get all into the deep universal laws of things, but I agree with you, dude. I think everything is set on its scale, even for us, our own experiences. They're to happen for a reason when it's our time to experience it. What do you think?
I can agree with that. I actually, I mean, that goes pretty deep because yeah, there's a saying within ufology that disclosure is a personal thing, and everyone has to have their own personal disclosure, which, okay, I can get into that, but I'm also about receipts as well. Like, there are a lot of people that I've spoken to in this field that have multiple encounters, back to back to back encounters with the phenomena,
Yeah.
and I just feel like those people are being shown something for a particular reason or being targeted. The intent is there for them to experience that. And then it's on them, I feel like almost their duty at that point to share that with the rest of humanity. So some people feel kind of, may disagree with that, but I just feel like, hey, if you're the one that's being targeted versus I can point to you someone that's never had an experience their entire life and is just longing for one, and your experience helps them cross that bridge, and so it's something that you can share.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love what you just said there. That was, to me, that's right on target. I got to acknowledge my brother just jumped in the house, Robert Odell. He said, hello, y'all. West Coast in the house. Welcome, Rob G.
Hey, Rob Odell, Rob G, Rob Odell. There we go.
That's
Love
right.
it.
Rob and Rob. Chris Roden. Hey, Chris. Good to see you and thank you for being here. You're going on the hit list. Uh, she says someone said the royal family are actually those reptilians, but I don't believe it. I don't know. That you look, I've seen some I've seen some crazy shit. All right. I've been in the paranormal and the supernatural all my life. I started experiencing in my late 20s, really in depth, if you will. And reptilians, it's a possibility. I've seen some unusual people that don't look like they fit in their bodies properly.
Yeah. True.
Hmm. It's like their head is cockeyed and it's not, it's almost like right out of the movies. And I saw one guy walking down the street as I was going to work one day. I've never talked about this story, so this is interesting that we're getting there. I'm like, yoo-hoo. And I was working at what I can say now because Pep Boys is no longer Pep Boys. Wink, wink. Um, but I was working at Pep Boys. I was the assistant store manager, and that's 7 years that I was there. Ironic, seven. Um, I think I have come across a Nephilim, and I'm pretty sure I've come across, if it was, because I don't have confirmation it was, but maybe a reptilian. This dude was 6'6", 6'7", walking cockeyed like this. Now we know bones and all that, but his face and his head, Rob, just didn't seem to fit his body.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I've seen that before.
Say,
You got to ask yourself the question. I mean, here's what we know. Here's what we know. We know for a fact that we have these craft in the air. We've figured that out. We have instances in reports like Lonnie Zamora and even the kids at Aerial School where these craft that we know are in the sky have landed on the ground. And in specific instances like Aerial School or Virginia, Brazil, these beings get out of the craft and walk around on the ground. So
yeah.
we know that these things are coming down and they're landing and they're getting out. Now, past that point, what they're doing and if they're in disguise, that's to be determined. But for sure, we could say that they are landing here, getting out, and physically placing foot on ground here on this planet.
Well, brother, I mean, let's talk about that for a second. Maybe we can help some people out there that might have a little paranoia about that. So I want to see where you come from comparatively to what I feel. I look at it and look at the history. We've got plates back from the 15 and 1400s, plates, eating plates. We've got documentation on walls. We've got documentation from other cultures going about thousands of years that they were here. They were here. And now here we are. We're in 2024. We're in the age of Star Trek. I like to call it that way. They're verging on the star voyagers, travelers. And, you know, it makes you want to think, okay, I've heard the conspiracies like, oh, well, they're in cahoots with the black government. Yeah, I said it. Uh, they're in cahoots with our government. They're in cahoots with the Russians. They were in cahoots with the Nazis. They were in cahoots with Japan. We've heard all of these tales, okay? But folks, we're still here. I mean, what is your thought? Do you have a thought on that, Rob, or because go for it, brother, man?
I do, and it gets a little sticky. Here's my approach, and you'll hear me kind of frame things in this way a lot. I like to look at. I'm a person, and I say this all the time, that believes that the history is an indicator of things that may happen present or in the future. So anytime I approach something, I want to look at historically, what do we know? What do we know to be pretty much fact?
Yeah.
Um, you know, I can tell you that for sure these beings are definitely have been visiting here for thousands of years based on the artwork that we see and things that you mentioned. Here's the thing. We can say with almost certainty that that entire time these extraterrestrials have been here. Now, on the opposite side of that, what have we seen happen over time? We've seen civilizations get to a certain point of technological advancement and then disappear off the face of the planet. Now we have record of that happening a few different times.
True.
And I just brought this up the other day, is that we are currently in one of those moments now with this current civilization.
I agree.
Where we're at a precipice. And one of my things is like, well, what happened to those previous civilizations? Did they reach
Right?
point of disclosure that we're in, like we're in now, and they made the wrong choice, which is why we don't see them around anymore? And if that's the case, it's vitally important that we handle the situation that we're in with the utmost thought and care as far as the decisions and conversations that we have during this process.
I cannot agree with you more on that. And I'm going to follow up on you on this, and I've said it on this very show multiple times. Travelers, you know this. The Egyptians we know of today are not the Egyptians of yesteryear. We know this for a fact. You can look at all of the descriptions, the paintings. Hey, Michelle, um, everything that clued to it, and you can go look at them now and comparatively to what they look like then, they look nothing alike. Nothing, nothing alike. That's the same thing with Mayans. We don't know what the Mayans look like because majority of what we know of the Mayans was chiseled or hand painted with fingers, but they did not have the same artwork as Egyptians. They did not document as well as the Egyptians did. We
Yeah.
can say that about Asian culture too. Look at the Ming Dynasty.
Yeah.
You know, look at the separation. I mean, Japan and China, their facial features are completely different in the eyes.
Hmm.
We know this, but Japan has a deeper root of ufology than China. Why?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. It's a good question. It's something that we have to look. I mean, truthfully, my one of my theories on this, because they're all theories, because we don't have the answers, right? First of all, to start off.
I mean, we don't even know about the history of our own Bible. So yeah, you're right.
Exactly. The history of ourselves here on this planet are, and it is funny that we're talking about this because these are all things that I've talked about in the last recent days here. Is that I feel like, based on just observation, that human beings are not in sync with this planet. Like, if you look around with anything else in the natural world here on this planet Earth, everything else works together cohesively in order to benefit the planet. Everything serves a purpose. Whether it's the cleansing of water, how certain things line up to make sure that you get clean water, if natural filtration, basically. And looking at this, where do humans fit into that? Where is our niche? Where do we fall in line in the natural state of Earth? And you just don't see it. You just see a lot of human beings negatively impacting the Earth, if anything. And it's like we don't seem to
Exactly.
fit in here for whatever reason.
Yeah. You know what? Exactly. And I'm going to follow that up again. I love how you're just setting me up. I can roll with it. We're going to go back to look at the bigger picture of this whole thing. They've been here for thousands of years. We're here right now in 2024. Guess what, folks? We are still here. If they wanted to do something to the human race, they would have done it long ago when we didn't have the ability to defend ourselves. Ever thought about that?
I thought about that, and it can go a few different ways there because, yes, a lot of people say that, and it makes sense on the surface of it. But I've talked to some people recently, and it was pointed out to me that maybe, these extraterrestrials don't see time in the same way that we do.
Oh,
So
I agree.
maybe the last 1,000 years for us is 10 days for them. And maybe their plan doesn't go into effect until day 25, which could be 1,000 years from now. And maybe our timelines don't link up in order for it to make sense. But on a human time scale, we look at it as, okay, they've been here for so many generations of human beings' existence that, yeah, they should have done something, we would think, on human time, but
Mhm.
they may not be on human time at all. And that could be the reason why. Or we just talked about this last night. Or maybe they have done things in the past, which is why we have civilizations that have disappeared off the face of the earth. Maybe
Ah,
that's exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Well, okay, let's look at one civilization that we know came from something of our past that's not spoken about. Let's look at India.
Hmm.
Indian culture is ravaged in ufology.
Yeah.
They talk about nuclear wars of their past history, flying machines. So a lot of their buildings are designed after craft that they have documented and in their history. That's a culture that's still here. Makes you wonder why, because they're not like a combative society. Although if you their culture is fast and quick and bargaining and blah 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 blah, but they don't go to arms like America, like Britain, like Russia, like Germany, like Japan. Think about it. It's very interesting.
One of the theories that I've been kicking around in this same frame of conversation is thinking about, okay, what if they don't like the type of hierarchy that we have here on Earth, where we have a small group that controls the many, the few that controls the many? Maybe they don't like that. Maybe that doesn't align with them. And historically, if you look at all the civilizations that have rose to some sort of prominence, those civilizations disappeared. They had similar hierarchies to what we have today, with someone at the top controlling over another group that controlled over a larger group. And maybe this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. Maybe that's not the way out there. And maybe they don't, I positioned it like this. The same way we're currently at a fork in the road, literally, for our future as human beings on in this moment we're currently in, you have to think that maybe those civilizations faced a similar choice where they had to go right or left, and it's the right choice or the wrong choice. They chose advancement or technology, which, if you listen to some of the children experiencers, especially in the aerial school, the kids say that the aliens that visited them telepathically said to them that technology was bad.
Right.
And if you think about it, technology could is definitely taking us down a road right now we probably don't want to go, with AI
Right.
and Neuralink and just things that make us less physical as human beings in our natural state. Because someone pointed out to me that, hey, yeah, if we were thrown out into the wilderness at this point, we wouldn't last 10 days.
Not a chance in hell.
Humanity would be gone. Yeah. So is technology bad for us because of that, because it takes us further away from being natural beings, and then we have no sense of survival at that point, and it kind of puts us in a weird spot? Because that would make sense. Now if you choose technology over the other way, then maybe that's a reason why those civilizations disappear, because they all reached a certain peak of technological advancement and then literally right after that disappeared. You got to
I completely agree with you on this point. Um, and something else I'm going to bring to the table on this one is, our own government, okay, the powers that be, let's go that way. The powers that be are kind of misleading us, because at this point, a lot of the other things is we don't know what could be from the outer space, what could be from a dimension, or could be man made. It just came out here recently that the United States Navy, they admitted to working on a type of new generator propulsion system, and the test pod, guess what? Looks just like a tic tac.
yeah.
Yeah.
You here's This is interesting that we're talking about this, because literally on my own personal channel, I have a channel called The Social Dig, is and I do shows over there as well. And I literally, the last episode that I did was what are UFOs? Black projects, adversarial craft, or alien craft? And I went down through a checklist. And so what I pointed out was essentially that if you go historically all the way back to like the SR-71, the Blackbird, and then continue to go forward from there, you will notice that all black projects that have eventually come out have been triangular in shape.
Oh yeah, the TR3B style.
TR3B, the Aurora, the F-117 Nighthawk, the B-21, the B-2, the stealth bomber. There's Bird of Prey, which never actually came out, but all
Yeah.
of these crafts, when you look at them side by side, have very similar design inspiration, and these are made by different government contractors.
That's right. Yep.
So it would point to that the government, for whatever reason, has a fascination with these triangular craft. Now, saying that to say that we haven't seen anything like a Tic Tac come out of a black project, anything with that form factor or that shape. And then to add on top of that, Tic Tacs have been mentioned as flying butane tanks as far back as the 1950s.
Yeah,
So,
and even further back than that, but they couldn't describe it
yeah.
because they
So,
didn't have something to define it by. Just like the cavemen, then they had their own terminology. The Egyptians, the even Middle Eastern, all the way to the Middle Ages, they had to use the words they knew to describe what they were being seen.
exactly.
Yeah. Kelly Johnson shook the world. Yeah, Kelly Johnson. Okay, you know what? That's a perfect example. Now, Rob, I appreciate you bringing that up. Kelly Johnson did shake the world. But on that one X project that he was flying, isn't it ironic how we're making a fleet of those very craft right now to go into outer space? Intriguing.
Which one? The X Project?
It was an X project, and I need to go back and grab that name. It's just I saw it this week, and I've been doing a little bit of the reviews of the X projects and the shuttle that we're about to put out. That is like
Mm,
it has like we
yeah,
have a fleet of them that are being built right now that
yeah,
look just like the a larger version of the X project that we had back in the 50s.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
man, I wish I could remember the name of that aircraft.
Yeah, I can't either. I want to say it has X in it, but
Was it
but
X-31?
it could be. It's an X something.
Yeah,
It
maybe
might
it's
be that.
X-31. Yeah,
But again, the design language is still similar to these other triangular craft, and I'm just like, okay, I'll go with Tic Tac being. I take a middle of the road approach, so I can go this way or that way depending on
oh,
the evidence. So if there was evidence of these contractors working on other type of craft outside of the ones that eventually came out, which are all triangular in shape, then you could have me believe maybe the government is working on something that's shaped like a tic tac, but they haven't released anything that says that. And then let's go a step further because the argument is government tech. I think you can scratch that out just based on what we've released prior. Adversarial tech, which would be China or Russia,
right.
and we saw Russia in their current war. They're using old tanks from
Thank you, Keith.
30, 40 years ago.
Hmm.
And then China, we just will never know what they're doing because it's a communist country. So we won't, they'll lie anytime they get the chance.
Right.
But you can pretty much say if they had something like a tic tac, probably would have already invaded one of these other countries. So chances are, and not only that, but you have the espionage world where you got
Yes.
spies on the ground, you got spies in space, satellites that we pretty much know what the other person has. We
Right.
may not know exactly what they have, but we know a pretty good idea of what they might be working on, and vice versa. They know what we may be working on as well.
Oh yeah.
I think you could cross out adversarial craft and it only leaves alien tech.
Yeah. Something other than this world. Yeah,
Yeah.
something other than this world. And thank you, Keith. I appreciate you. Yeah, David Wilcox Company is the one that's working on that anti-gravity craft. I appreciate you, Keith. I really do. Thank you all. And Keith said something earlier. Maybe it's our frequency, our human frequency at the moment that's either detracting or attracting them. Maybe a lot of us are leveling up. Maybe it is that time to move forward. We are learning a lot of valuable lessons as a race.
Yeah.
We're learning we don't care for the powers that be and how they're going about things. We don't like um, being in war 24/7. But
Right.
humans by nature love war. Patton said it best. Humans love war. It's like, I hate to say it like this, it's the schlong contest, you know? And sometimes that's why I agree that putting a woman in office is probably would be a much better thing for this country than a man at this moment.
I can see the benefit. I
Yeah,
can see the benefit there. Testosterone versus estrogen. I'd probably roll with estrogen when it comes to, developing these weapons because I think Joe Rogan said it best. He said human beings, they tend to the whole goal is to make better things,
yeah.
and we've had since the 50s a weapon that's strong enough to really kill out humanity and wipe us out. Now we're just figuring out better ways to deliver that package, and be even more destructive. And it's like, what are we doing here? Are we trying to progress humanity? Or are we trying to cause a mass extinction of humanity? Because that's that fork in the road that I talk about. Because we can make a choice where if we go the current path that we're on, literally we're already on that path, and we literally have to divert and go a different way because we're already currently moving down the path to extinction for the human race. And it's like,
And unfortunately, you're right.
who wants to do that? Yeah, you got grandchildren and great grandchildren that'll be coming down, your descendants down the line. Why set them up with a world just like that?
Yeah, I worry about my children and my grandchildren. I'm actually to the point where I'm worried about my great grandchildren because I'm looking down and going, you know, we have to get through next year to begin with. You know, we got to look at Project 2025. What's going to happen? How close are we to Logan's Run? Oh crap! Yeah, I brought it out. Just saying. I mean,
Yeah.
is it going to take eradicating the thought process to get human society back on track? Can we find peace?
There are only three things that human beings will ever happen within a human being's lifetime that will give them the opportunity to change the direction of the structure that is so set up and so ingrained in our daily lives. And those three things would be nuclear war, which would decimate humanity. We don't want that. An asteroid impact that would be big enough to really affect us globally. Two things that would cause extinction of humanity, close to it probably. And then the third thing is the current moment we're in of disclosure.
Yeah,
And it's like, you don't find your humanity doesn't find themselves in a spot like this very often. We're very lucky in this time right now to have the opportunity prior to disclosure to make sure that things are set up, or that we uh once disclosure happens, that we demand that things change as far as the way this structure is run, the monetary proportion of this, because it causes disparities, from the have and have nots. And then you have just the greed and which fuels war. So we have to break all that down and create something else. And we're luckily in a moment right now where we can do that. That's why it's so important for what you do, what I do, and anyone that has a voice to say something. This is our time right now, and our grandchildren and their grandchildren will thank us for the work that we did and the conversations that we have like we're doing right now.
absolutely. I want to bring something up, and I see Rob put it in, and Nikki did a good follow up on it. Um, Rob first says, right on, Rob. Robert says, get back up here. I just want to explore the universe in peace, like Star Trek. The
Mhm.
problem, and I'm going to say this out loud, and then I'm going to bring up the problem is we are the human cockroaches of the universe. If we get out in space now, all we're going to do is destroy and blow things up. That's our mentality. We have got to get away from that mentality.
Mhm.
Vicky says society on Earth is extremely different than on other planets. Our human mindset is messed up. Bingo. Exactly. Exactly. Um, I love you guys for your inputs. These have been great right along, as always, in this show and all our other shows. We really appreciate you. Um, and I agree with the onslaught of what we're hearing tonight. So while we have about 15 minutes left in the show, I want to go one more direction with you,
Yeah.
and then see where how you feel about it, and then we need to get you and your wonderful network out there. Um, how do you feel about the possibility now that you've had a little bit of your hands into the paranormal, you've dove in a little bit into the ufology. You and I talked about this, and now it's my time to come at you. How do you feel about this possibility that a lot of the paranormal and ufology is all the same shit?
I can agree. The further I go down this rabbit hole, the more I'm understanding that this stuff is all related. Um, on what level is still hard to say, but there were things that within the paranormal world that I didn't really know were real things or not until I've had these conversations with people, for one, and I can look people in their eyes and you can kind of feel who's being genuine or not. And then having your own personal experience with, like, I've had orbs since my UFO sighting, I've had shadow people, which I think I showed you
Yeah.
before,
Oh yeah.
which is freaky. And that was just like a wow moment to say, oh my gosh, okay, so if that's true, then what else is true? And then you kind of start falling down that rabbit hole. So, and
Yeah.
Lou Elizondo said it best recently for his book rollout. He said, what is paranormal? Paraphrasing, he was like, what is the paranormal? It was like, essentially, paranormal is anything that isn't already considered normal.
Yep.
And so that is a big umbrella for pretty much everything that we're looking at and talking about.
You brought his name up, and I wasn't going to do it. I don't want to bring names out, but since you already dropped it, I'm going to get on this bandwagon for a second. I want your personal opinion on what his agenda is, and I'm talking about Lou, and that's all I'll say. What do you think his agenda is?
You know, I think here's my view of it. I think we have to look past agendas. Once again, I think the future, the indicator of the future is taking a look at the past. So take what he says and just weigh the nuggets against what we already know. So he came out and said Roswell was real. He confirmed that. Well, we kind of already knew that, but thanks for confirming it. Take some of the other, don't really look at the fact that he's a misinformation agent, he's counterintelligence. Don't really focus on that part, because yes, he could be saying some things that aren't true, but that's the stuff that you kind of disregard and you just pick through and find the things that match up with historical data. And I
Yeah.
think that's how they all should be approached, and no one person should be raised as a all-knowing or all-seeing person with all the information. I think that's how you sift through it.
Very well said. Very well said. Because okay, yeah, and he's bringing Rebecca Rose up, and I definitely would love to get my hands to be able to talk to Rebecca Rose, just because of MK Ultra. Um, but it is a valid point, and I'm here's the thing. I'm on the fence about Lou, and because he says one thing but does something completely different. He says he's not working for the military anymore. He says he's doing his own thing, but yet a couple of months ago, well, at the beginning of the year, he ended up on an aircraft carrier on a special project. What's the truth? With the truth with him, that's why I'm kind of taking him with a grain of salt right now.
Well, you got to ask yourself, at the end of the day, does any of that matter? Probably not. The things that do matter are the things that you can validate from historical data. That's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of people spend time with all these whistleblowers and people that come out, spend a lot of time picking through their personal information to determine if everything else should be listened to. I can probably say that every one of us here listening tonight and in the future have probably had a point in their life that they weren't proud of, or have told a lie before. But that doesn't define who you are, and it doesn't mean that because you lied today you shouldn't be believed tomorrow. And so that's why we have to make sure that we sift through and only take out the valuable parts of what's being said. The rest of it, throw it away. You don't have to worry about it. Maybe he did lie about that, but that's not the part to focus on. It's the government having the retrieve craft in the biological beings, because we know they did that back in Roswell. So we know
Right.
him making that statement is a true statement.
Agreed. Absolutely agree on that one as well. Um, and Nikki says, bingo, Rob. So you got her up in there. Chris Rodens hits up and says Manson was a part of MK Ultra, and I'm wondering how he got introduced to it. Good point. He met Dennis Wilson in 1935. There was a legal matter that Clarence Dowell handled between someone's names between Manson and Wilson. Oh, that's there that is documentation. That's pretty hit hard there, Chris. And you got to give Chris. And Chris is a very intelligent woman. She's dealt with a lot of the space science, if you will. So I love it when the travelers come up with details, like just like Nikki just dropped. She also drops in here and says it was about killer gold mine in California and $100,000. It's about money again, right? Here we go.
Always.
Always about the money. So, brother, when another we see we can go all night long. We know we can go all night
Yeah.
long. You are one of you're like my other brother that I do it with G3, Sean Elliott. We can talk all night long, just like I do with my brother, my real brother, and with Keith Ottersberg. We could talk all night long,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
wish we could, brother. I do. But
Well, anytime I'm open. Anytime you want to have a conversation, we can do that.
ditto.
And vice versa, you come on to my show as well.
Yeah, you better get some questions ready.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's spooky season, and I'm ready to have you on, man. So we got to get it set up.
It's spooky season. So let's look at that network of viewers, man. Which direction you're going? How do you all go about things? Where can people find you? And are you only just on YouTube, or where are you guys at so these people can find you?
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. And we're currently, you can find me this thing up here, Spaced Out Radio, After Hours, with your host, Mr. Rob G. And we also have, so that you can find that at youtube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. And you can also find me on my personal channel where I have a lot of tough conversations, which would be The Social Dig, but that's youtube.com/at Mr. Rob G, the way it reads right here on the screen.
Very nice. Very nice. And so while we're talking about that real quick, thanks, Nikki, for that drop in. Where do you want to take your show, Holmes? What would you like to see come from it? And how far you want to go, or will you go?
Well, I got to tell you, I got into this not because I wanted to do this. Like, I'm not doing what I'm doing because I technically sought out to do this. I was led into this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I didn't know what I wanted to do next. You get a point in your life where you're like, okay, what's next, right? And so I just knew that I wanted to do something that would benefit humanity. I had started out by saying, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll be a kindergarten teacher. That way I can teach the youth and get them ready to come up in this world. But then I was like, well, I don't know. Kids are kind of bad sometimes, so I don't know if I'll do that. And I kind of got to a point, there was and I don't want to get all religious here, but
It's okay.
when I was in church as a kid, they have Bible study where they send the kids off the Bible study while the adults do their service. So
Yeah.
one day in Bible study, they wanted us to come in and have a scripture. I was never big on knowing scriptures or anything like that. So I went to my grandmother and I asked her, said, "Hey, I need a scripture today. They're going to ask me to say something." So she gave me like Proverbs 3, verse 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, I think. It's like, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, lean not into thine own understanding, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. So there's a saying where they say, just kind of let God take the wheel. And that's kind of what I did. I kind of just said, "Hey, take me in the direction you're gonna take me." Next thing you know, a lot of blessings happened, a lot of doors opened, which led me right into this. And then the realization that this stuff was real. That really was the thing, was like boom. And I was like, oh my God.
What?
And I was like, okay. And then I understood how important this moment is for humanity. And
Yeah.
my channel specifically is a pro humanity channel. And we do things over there to positively affect the progress of humanity. Those are the topics that we touch. So my goal is to have conversations that move the needle and progress humanity in this critical moment that we're in right now. And it's just like, it makes me feel really good to know and lucky to be in a position where we have the opportunity to affect how this turns out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're the mainstreamers. We're the ones that are gonna open that door. We're the messengers. We're trying to get people away from the norm of their thought. I agree with you. I took a different turn. I was the one that created that opportunity for people, and that's what we're doing. You know,
Hmm.
that's why I created this show. This show was the opportunity to explain how we affect the universe and how the universe affects us right now. Look, we're in a class 9 solar storm. We're at the end of it. Another solar storm following right behind it. But then you look at weather and you look at in the Gulf right now, there's another hurricane building up right there, about to hit Florida for the second time. These people out there, they need to hear the voice. They need to know that it's okay. See,
Yeah, and that, just have an open mind and just know that we don't know anything. We don't know anything. I'll say this, and this will kind of put it in perspective. We're living on this ball that's floating through space, which is crazy, in a space that's infinite, which is crazy too to think about. And then it's like, you know, 70% of this planet is made of water, which 30% is land. So of that 70%, we've only explored 5%. And then on land, we still have about 10 to 15% unexplored land. But when you look at the globe as a whole, that's like 65% of the earth that we don't know, have an answer to. So it's like, how could we even start to think that we have answers to any of this other stuff? And that's why you should always be approaching these conversations with an open mind, because we're figuring it all out together as
that's
we
right.
go through this.
We are doing this together. Isn't that the motto of travelers? Doing it together as one. Rob, brother, thank you so much for coming out tonight,
Yes, sir.
taking your time, talking with me and talking with the travelers. Travelers, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And hopefully we got some of the people from, your side came over.
Oh
Check
yeah, I
this
see
out a
him out
little
there.
bit.
Nikki Angels are live. Hey, I'll see you out there.
What? So just try to help one another. Travelers, I've always said, and I'll continue to say it. If someone falls off their cosmic surfboard, put your hand out, get them on your surfboard, get them to the cosmic beach, or get them back on their board. Let's continue to help each other because that's how we really grow.
Yeah,
How we really grow. Rob, thank you, brother. Thank you
no
so much.
problem. Glad to do this anytime, and many more conversations for the future.
Absolutely. Check him out. Don't miss his show, Spaced Out Radio. And of course, you heard him late night on that. He's got his own dove. Until then, we will see y'all on the other side. May virtue be yours. Good night, travelers.